Today we're talking about something very important, traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs as commonly called. The TBIs can range from mild to severe, but even the mild ones have lasting effects if they are not carefully monitored. Whether you've recently had a head injury or know someone who has, recognizing when to seek help could make a big difference in recovery. This video will guide you through 5 critical signs that mean you or your loved one should consider seeking professional assistance after a TBI. Knowing these signs can help you catch issues early, possibly preventing long-term effects. Sign number 1, persistent headaches. The first sign to watch for is always persistent headaches. It's normal to have a headache shortly after a head injury, but if you're experiencing pain that lingers or even worsens over time, it's a red flag. Now, a persistent headache isn't just an occasional discomfort. It's one that doesn't seem to go away with rest or over-the-counter medication, or it recurs frequently. When I say persistent, almost daily. And I imagine most of us have had a migraine at some point in our lives. The headaches that accompany a TBI can feel like a migraine. If you have what you believe is a migraine from an unknown reason and you've had a recent trauma, chances are you should get checked out for a TBI. See, one of the concerns, folks, is that this kind of headache may be a sign of a more serious issue. There could be internal bleeding. There could be pressure on the brain. If you or someone you know is facing this, it's very important to seek medical advice as soon as possible. Sign number 2, confusion or memory issues. Now, after a TBI, it's common to feel a bit foggy at first, but if you consistently struggle to remember things, or if you find yourself frequently confused, that is a concern. Classic example, we've all lost or misplaced our keys at some point. But what if you begin to do that every single day or several times a day? Misplace your keys. Walk from one room of the house to another room of the house and forget what your purpose was. If there are any memory-related issues you begin to experience after a head injury, you need to get checked out, folks. If it's your loved one, you need to encourage and motivate them to get checked out. Because one of the biggest downfalls of people suffering from a traumatic brain injury is denial. Most people won't accept that they have a head injury, or they just dismiss others saying, well, you've had mood swings. These sort of things get swept under the rug oftentimes by the person who's actually experiencing the traumatic brain injury. So it can manifest itself in several ways. Maybe you're forgetting recent events like conversations or tasks, or you find it difficult to focus on simple instructions. These cognitive changes can impact daily life and may worsen without professional intervention. If you're noticing these issues, it's important to consult with a medical professional who can assess the injury's impact on your brain function. The third sign is mood swings or noticeable changes in behavior. TBIs can affect the part of the brain that manages emotions, so it's not uncommon for people to experience feelings like anger, sadness, or frustration more intensely after an injury than they were accustomed to experiencing these issues prior to the head injury. So if you notice a change in yourself or a loved one who's had a recent head injury, that's an indication they need to get checked out for a traumatic brain injury. A classic example, if the person is someone who's usually calm and now they become unusually irritable or withdrawn, this could be a sign of an underlying issue with brain function. If you're seeing these changes, remember, it's okay to seek help. Behavioral changes after a TBI aren't just a matter of toughing it out. A trained professional can provide tools and support for managing these emotional shifts. The fourth sign to keep an eye on is difficulty with balance or coordination. After a TBI, physical symptoms often show up alongside mental and emotional changes, and balance issues are a significant one. Throughout your day-to-day life, if you start to notice that you're losing your balance or a loved one is losing their balance more often or feeling unsteady, it could mean the brain's motor functions have been impacted. If somebody has a head injury that hasn't been diagnosed yet as a traumatic brain injury, and you start noticing that this person is having frequent falls, they're stumbling, they're having to grab onto the wall, and they're not indicating that it's related to some kind of neck pain, back pain, leg pain, knee pain. They're just having trouble maintaining their balance, and they can't pinpoint any physical injury to cause this problem. If they've had a recent head injury, they should be checked out for a TBI. Problems aren't just a risk for falls. They might indicate a deeper injury that needs immediate attention. Lastly, let's talk about sleep patterns. TBIs can severely impact sleep, whether that's causing insomnia, excessive sleepiness, or even unusual sleep cycles. There's been cases where people have been unable to remain asleep. Any kind of changes in your sleep after a head injury is indicative that you possibly have a traumatic brain injury or TBI, and you need to get checked out. If you find that your sleep has dramatically changed since the injury, maybe you're sleeping much more or much less, or struggling with restless nights. These are all signs your brain is having trouble regulating its usual rhythm. Poor sleep can worsen other TBI symptoms too, like memory issues or mood changes. So it's essential to speak with a healthcare provider if you notice these changes. One of the big problems with TBIs is that all these different symptoms have a cumulative effect. Memory issues isolated may be manageable. Mood changes isolated may be manageable. Trouble sleeping isolated may be manageable. But when a person has a TBI, they're typically dealing with all or many of these at the same time. And that compound effect could have significant changes on their quality of life. So to wrap up this quick video, let's recap these 5 critical signs. Number 1, persistent headaches. Number 2, confusion or memory loss. Number 3, mood swings or behavioral changes. Number 4, difficulty with balance. And number 5, changes in sleep patterns. If you or a loved one is experiencing any of these after a head injury, don't ignore them. Listening to your body and seeking help when needed is vital for recovery. Remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution. Consulting with a professional could make all the difference in managing the effects of the TBI and ensuring a smooth recovery. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and share it with others who may benefit. Take care and see you next time on Great Elephant Law.